The eC4 brings a dose of Citroen individuality to the EV part of the family hatchback segment. The looks have a crossover vibe, the range is a reasonable 217 miles, and the cabin is the most comfortable in the class. If you're fed up with clinical family EVs, then here's one that might charm you. Citroen is a company with a reputation for trying to do things differently. Unfortunately, though, the reality is that it's not always been a company able to do things differently from sister brand Peugeot. In the last few decades, a depressing cloak of PSA Group conformity has characterised the family offerings from the double chevron marque, but gradually things seem to be changing and Citroens are being set apart once more. Firstly, with detailed things like Airbumps and squashier seats, and now with more fundamental engineering. For an example of that, let's take the subject of this test, the eC4. It's all electric, which is significant because electrified versions of Peugeots bigger than supermini-sized usually prefer a plug-in petrol-electric PHEV drivetrain. PSA apparently now gives its brands a choice between PHEV and BEV, and Citroen wants to be different. But how different in this case? That's what we're here to find out. Rather interestingly, this is one EV that doesn't spear away from rest like a scalded cat. That attribute is a bit pointless. It cuts across this car's laid-back Gallic demeanour and it needlessly depletes battery reserves, so Citroen hasn't bothered with it here. The eC4 is a bit like Mazda's rival MX-30 in that respect. Not that the eC4 is slow. The 134 bhp electric motor allows 62 miles an hour to be dispatched in 9.7 seconds on the way to a maximum that you'll never bother with of 93 miles an hour. What you'll notice more is the relaxed gait. It's inevitably not as light on its feet through the corners as a combustion engine C4. The weight of the 50 kilowatt hour battery has to tell somewhere. Your driving position is somewhere between that of a family hatch and an SUV, and you get a couple of pedals along with a small straightforward gear lever. There's no one pedal driving option like you do get in the Nissan Leaf, but there is an extra B mode which gives greater lift-off deceleration, so boosting the battery's energy harvesting efforts so you can get somewhere close to the claimed 217 mile range figure. The ride is very comfort orientated, as you'd expect from a Citroen, thanks to their clever progressive hydraulic suspension setup. Now here, the car's springs and shock absorbers work in concert with hydraulic compression and rebound stops, which are supposed to slow body movement over bumps and tarmac tears. This generation of C4 has been called the most individualistic family car to wear this maker's double chevron badge since Citroen's GS model of the 70s. And if you're old enough to remember that car, you might recognise elements of it here in the rear three-quarter view. Citroen isn't one of those brands who think that a full EV needs to look radically different from a combustion hatch, so you'll struggle to tell this eC4 apart from its combustion engined C4 showroom counterparts unless you happen to notice the badging or the charging flap. Like other C4 variants, this one confirms that the delineating line between family hatch and compact SUV design is being even more blurred, which many folk in search of a compact hatch will think to be no bad thing. Citroen says the crossover cues aren't there for crossover purposes. The higher than Focus class average 156mm ride height is there to offer a high vantage point and better all-round visibility. The matte black finished wheel arches aren't for arduous tracks, but they're there to prevent supermarket car park dings. There's also plenty of signature Citroen design with stylishly shaped signature lights and chromed chevrons that stretch across the car's width. Plus, there's an air intake grille that features a pattern first seen on the brand's recent 1919 concept car. Overall, it's a good-looking car, designed by the stylist who fashioned Citroen's last truly innovative model, the C6. Interesting details are everywhere, especially here at the back, where the rear spoiler splits the tailgate glass, and there's some striking use of LED lighting. Let's take a look inside. The dash gets the kind of big 10-inch central touchscreen that's in current vogue and a fully digitalised instrument binnacle. Thankfully, the climate controls are separated out from the screen on the centre stack. 6 interior colour schemes are on offer, all aimed at making you feel as if you're in your living room, apparently, although it is a pity we don't get some of the more interesting colour packages which are offered in Europe. Like other recent Citroen models, this one benefits from the installation of the brand's advanced comfort seats, which are well sized and generously padded with high density foam, which incorporates a thick 15mm layer of textured foam on the surface. We've found them both soft and inviting, and they're also pretty supportive through the bends too. Let's take a look in the rear. The eC4 is 4.35 metres long, which isn't huge for a Focus-sized hatch. But once inside, space is reasonable on the rear seat. The brand claims best-in-class knee room. We wouldn't quite agree with that. There is a little more room in the back of a rival Volkswagen ID3, but it'll be fine for a couple of adults on medium-length trips, and you get a wide range of storage compartments. Out back there's a decently sized 380 litre boot, which is exactly the same size as that of the combustion engine model. Citroen includes a twin level boot floor for extra convenience, and this split boot floor means that with the panel in its highest position there's no awkward lip to get your heavy objects over. Push forward the 60-40 split rear bench and you can improve the space on offer to 1250 litres. Prices for the eC4 sit in the £31,000 to £32,500 bracket, including the £2,500 government plug-in car grant. And there are 3 trim levels to choose from: Sense Plus, Shine and, as in this case, Shine Plus. Obvious rivals include the slightly more expensive Volkswagen ID3, volume 58 kWh versions of which offer a slightly longer range than this Citroen, and the slightly cheaper Nissan Leaf, volume 40 kWh versions of which can't go quite as far. You might also be looking at comparatively priced compact EV hatch models like the Kia e-Niro, the Hyundai Ioniq Electric and the BMW i3, and of course there are plenty of compact EV hatches in this segment at about this price point too. But the Citroen's quirky appeal might just take your fancy, and if it does, you'll be pleased to find that even the base Sense Plus model comes pretty well kitted out. Tick off full LED headlights, front fog lamps, power folding mirrors and 18-inch alloy wheels. Inside there's a 10-inch high-resolution touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration, plus a DAB radio and Bluetooth. Also included is Citroen Connect Now with TomTom Live services. These services include live traffic and destination information, fuel pricing and weather information, as well as speed camera and danger zone alerts. With the base trim level also, you'll get a head-up display, LED interior lighting, an electrochrome auto-dimming rear-view mirror and a rear parking camera, along with the brand's innovative Smart Pad Support Citroen tablet computer holder for front seat passengers. Moving up to the mid-range Shine trim level gets you dark tinted rear windows, keyless entry and start, automatic high beam headlights, front and rear parking sensors and a heated steering wheel as standard, plus there's more camera safety tech which we'll talk about in a minute. At the top of the range, this Shine Plus model provides audiophiles with Citroen's premium hi-fi system, featuring uprated speakers and the addition of a subwoofer. The feeling of opulence on board is enhanced with a hype black interior ambience, black sienna leather and textile upholstery, intricate zephyr grey stitching, driver's seat electric adjustment and heated front seats. For added comfort out on the road, a highway driver assist system uses camera technology to adapt the speed and the direction of the vehicle under certain driving conditions. Further technological additions include 4 USB sockets and a wireless smartphone charging pad. Across the range, a nice optional touch you might want to consider is the full HD camera built into the rearview mirror, which can take photos or videos stored on a 16GB memory card. Yes, options. Bear in mind you're almost certainly going to need to pay your dealer more for your choice of paint colour. We have Obsidian Black Metallic here. If you have access to a 3-phase power supply, you might also want to look at paying an extra £300 for the brand's 11kW 3-phase onboard charger. As for other extras, well, the key one is probably the opening glazed sunroof. You can also specify a 4-way electrically powered driver's seat with an electric lumbar adjustment and massage function. Additionally, there's the 40 City Park Pack, which gives you park assist to steer you into spaces, a 360 vision surround view camera and various tablet mounts. As for safety, well, Citroen boasts of the fact that this car offers no fewer than 20 different driver assistance features. All models get active safety brake, autonomous braking, forward collision warning, speed limit information, lane keeping assist and driver attention alert. The Shine and Shine Plus variants add to this with Citroen's Safety Pack Plus package, which includes adaptive cruise control and active blind spot detection. You might struggle to replicate the claimed 217-mile range figure we quoted earlier unless you habitually drive like Miss Marple, but that's hardly an issue that's exclusive to Citroen when it comes to EV mileage claims. We've found that in urban use it's much easier to get closer to the target figure. The eC4 is fitted with an 11kW charger which can charge from empty in around 7.5 hours using a 32-amp home wall box. It also has a 100kW fast charger which can achieve an 80% charge in around half an hour using a public fast charger. At the time of this test in spring 2021, all customers were being offered a PodPoint Solo Smart Charger included in the price. As usual with an electric car, you can control your charging via your smartphone and you can take advantage of lower cost off-peak electricity tariffs. What about other financial considerations? Well, the insurance group for all variants is rated at 22p and regular service intervals come around every 16,000 miles or every 12 months, depending on which comes sooner. For many owners, that'll mean a visit to the dealer once a year, and there are plenty of Citroen outlets to choose from, so you should never be too far from one. So you can budget ahead. The French maker offers its Citroen maintenance scheme, which lets you pay either a one-off fee or monthly instalments to cover the cost of the routine upkeep of your car for as long as 3 years and 35,000 miles. Every eC4 comes with a 3-year and 60,000 mile warranty, and there's also Europe-wide breakdown assistance included from new for the first year you own the car. Looking at the longer term, you also have a 12-year guarantee against rust and 36 months cover for any paintwork defects, although that doesn't include stone chips and other wear and tear damage. As for residual values, well, that was once a real issue with the Citroen brand. These days, though, they're pretty competitive. After 3 years and 20,000 miles with this eC4 Shine Plus variant, depreciation is rated at 49%. You might not be quite ready to make the step from family hatch to SUV, and you might also not be quite ready to make the step from combustion engine to full electric. This Citroen eC4 makes either of those seismic steps a good deal more palatable to folk wavering on the edge of a crossover culture or a nightly charging regime. You get most of the visual cues associated with an SUV and enough driving range to make the switch from combustion to EV realistic enough to consider. Let's be honest, all of that isn't going to be enough to allow this car to outsell the two family hatch EV models it's primarily targeted at, the Nissan Leaf and the Volkswagen ID.3, but the eC4 has a much more individualistic, charismatic feel than either of those two cars. It's a proper Citroen, which means it's interesting, it's stylish and extremely comfortable. And a proper Citroen is something we always welcome. If you're looking for a wider choice in the EV part of the family hatchback segment, then you should welcome it too.